Welcome back to First Line. In this week's Science Chat, we take a look at the underwater space station and find out how alien smog could help us discover other life forms.
Joining us now is Steve Pointing, Director of AUT's Applied Ecology Institute. Now, Steve, we're talking today about the world's only undersea research lab, but it's also being used as a training facility, is that right?
That's correct, yes. So this is called Aquarius, so not surprisingly it's underwater. It's tethered under the Florida coast in lovely coral reef, about 20 metres down. It's been used mainly as a marine biology station, but NASA have recently contracted to use it for space training purposes. And essentially what they're doing is putting would-be astronauts down there and trying to understand how they interact. So, as you may know, swimming pools have been used for a long time by NASA to sort of refine manual dexterity skills for astronauts. But what this is doing is really giving astronauts the chance to live in close proximity in conditions that simulate the International Space Station underwater. So they have to go through, airlocks, which are water locks, obviously, and essentially live as astronauts do.
So what other key things they're using Aquarius for?
Well, it's principally a marine biology station. It's had some very famous inmates over the years. So Sylvia Earle, who was a pioneering female diver, and Fabien Cousteau, who's a descendant of Jacques Cousteau, who inspired me into science. But what's cool about the current study, and probably will also help inform those marine biology uses, is the fact that all of the astronauts have these little trackers on them, which is monitoring their sort of physiological state and their interactions with other people there.
OK, now we've got a telescope that's set to launch in 2018, and scientists are hoping it might be able to sniff out alien life. What's this all about?
Yeah, this is great. So as you know, NASA has a very proud history of space telescopes that have been looking for habitable planets. That is, planets other than our own that are orbiting stars that may allow them to support life. And the way they do that is they need to be just the right distance from the star to be warm enough to have liquid water, which you need for life. And also the planet needs to have the correct mass to support an atmosphere. So Kepler and other space telescopes that are deployed have been looking for planets that essentially have this sort of unique Goldilocks zone situation. But what this new study is doing is saying, let's go one step further. So now let's look for man-made compounds, or alien-made compounds in this case, which might inform whether or not there's civilized life or intelligent life on other planets.
Would it be evidence, though, of if they were found?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, these compounds can't be synthesized naturally. So, for any planet, what you're really looking for is disequilibrium. So in the case of Earth, we have disequilibrium with oxygen and methane, which occurs through the processes of life and metabolism. But we also have disequilibrium with man-made pollutants because we produce them. However, whether aliens would be as reckless as we are and actually make these compounds is another question, I guess.
OK, now we're interested to know why the Russians have sent some geckos into space.
Oh well, yeah. This is all about something saucy, really. So,
saucy science
yes,
topic?
it is. Yes, I'll keep it clean. Don't worry.
There.
Yes, no naughty lizards. But essentially, I mean, since the late 40s, we've been sending animals up to space. So in the 40s and 50s, it was all about whether or not animals could survive the flight to space. But in recent years, research has been focused on how we can sustain life in space, and specifically reproduction. Because if humans ever want to have, for example, a moon base or a permanently manned space station, we need to look at that. So these geckos were part of a program to look at reproduction in space, because all the signs are that whilst the actual mating can occur, that actually healthy offspring is always the issue. These geckos made the news principally because the Russians lost contact with their spacecraft, and there was concern that the geckos would, feel unloved and more importantly not get fed, because this was a programmed thing from Earth. But thankfully, contact has been regained. But rather sadly, the decay of the orbit of the craft is such that some scientists are predicting it will probably burn up before it comes to Earth as planned.
Right.
So no happy landing.
We're going to leave it there.
Yes.
Oh, yuck. All right, thank you so much, Steve.
My
That's
pleasure.
Steve Pointing from AUT.